Wednesday night here at the Smith Center was quite an event, not to mention the tailgate, which was fantastic out front. The students were amazing. A Power 5 opponent, South Carolina, came in. Chris, very exciting times to have that happen. Let's take a look at what happened here at the Smith Center on Wednesday. Coach Caputo, I have to get started with this. Brendan Adams, Player of the Week. This is a national power conference. A lot of great players. And Brendan Adams with his 20-point performance, but also did a lot of other things. Tell us about his value and his improvement.
I've been so happy with Brendan. I think when you take over a job and you look at the leadership of the guys that are there, and for me, I think I've said this, that Brendan and James, two Baltimore guys, Coach. You coached a lot of Baltimore guys at Maryland and Loyola and even at Siena. Those guys have been unbelievable. And Brendan, really does everything you ask of him. He's an excellent student. He's a great person. He works his tail off. And for him to now start to see a little bit of success on the court, the fruits of his labor, if you will, I think is awesome.
Tell me about this. I watch Chris. He's a little throwback. He doesn't mind getting in the paint. He'll take it to you, and he'll rebound. He's not one of those pretty guards out on the 3-point line. He has a little of everything.
And we're playing him at the point. I'm not sure he's a true point, but he had a really good assist-to-turnover ratio last year. He's a willing passer. He's shooting the ball at a pretty high rate. He can get downhill. He's big and physical. He plays, really hard defense. He defends the other team's best player nightly. He's carrying a big load for us, and he's doing a great job.
Mark Lerner, Alan Bubis, big luminaries of DC baseball fans were at the game. That shows you the excitement that's building around this program. I talked to Pete Gillen of CBS Sports about this. He can feel the buzz coming in as an outsider. We all can feel it because we're here. But tell us about having little celebrities at the game.
Yeah, hopefully we'll continue to have some. But it was great to have Mark and Alan, and for us, Mark obviously is an alum. Very
1975.
Yeah, very important alum at GW. So to bring all our alums back is really important. We have so many in the DC area. And as you guys know, the arena is an incredible environment. And really, I think one of the best on the East Coast. And so when it's filled up and the students are here, it's rocking. It's really a great experience for anybody who comes to a game.
I just got to give a shout out to the band, the dancers, the cheerleaders. It's a perfect setup in here, and they really make a lot of noise in that end zone. That's why people are missing their free throw. Tell me one of the things you've seen really an improvement from the beginning. It's early in the year, but we're 7-8 games in. What have you improved at? What are you seeing the guys improve on?
I think against New Hampshire, we had our best defensive game. It was a big emphasis for us, spending a lot of time on it. I think chemistry that gets built, people talk about, chemistry off the court. I think Stan Van Gundy said this one time, I think it's really true, hey, if you want to go be friends, go have dinner, right? But if you want to build chemistry, you actually have to play together, right, 5-on-5. So this is a new group. We had some injuries earlier in the year that didn't really allow us to build that offensive chemistry or defensive chemistry 5-on-5. So as the games are going in real time, we're getting that experience, building that chemistry. I thought, we're starting to see that on both ends.
Yeah, including EJ's performance, and he seems to have established himself as a sixth man. But we'll get back to more of that here at Raise High at GW. More to come.
Seriously, have you seen my silhouette? Sheesh. It's giving main character energy. Grab the bag and start to
Our best flavors just got better. Truly Hard Seltzer.
Welcome back to Raise High here at GW. Our favorite topic, recruiting. That's why you're here. One of the best recruiters in the country, not only at George Mason at Miami. That's why so many guys went to the NBA. But this is one of your fortes, is a lot of things you got to do. And you and I know it's the lifeblood of a program, is your recruiting. So we're going to get right into it. Trey Autry, whose father's Red Autry from Syracuse. If anyone's wondering, yes, that's his son.
He was good.
He was very good.
He was good. Trey is coming from a basketball family, and while he grew up in Syracuse, because Adrian's been the assistant coach, at Syracuse here for a number of years. His mom is actually from Woodbridge, and I think he was born in this area. And then when Red came back from his playing in Europe, they lived here. So I consider him kind of a DMV guy in a lot of ways. He really did grow up here as a young person, and then for him, obviously basketball family, knows what this is all about. Played very, very well on the EYBL circuit for the Albany City Rocks. Physically tough, can make shots. He's at Western Reserve Academy in Ohio.
Very good prep school.
Yeah, very good prep school. Pete Hutchins is the coach who was at New Hampton, had a lot of success there, produced a number of NBA players. Just got a lot of experience, a lot of know-how. I think he's a guy who can, make a big impact right away.
And then we have some more local ties with our friend from DeMatha via IMG, Jacoy Hutchinson, another local kid coming in, and another guard.
Yeah, we felt like we needed guard play, in this class, depth at the guard position. Jacoy's a guy who, very, very well regarded in the area. DeMatha High School, team takeover, and now at IMG playing for, Sean McAloon, who was here at St. John's. And so, Jacoy has got a lot of physical toughness and grit as a lead guard. Great defender on the ball, playmaker. He's fearless. Just very, very happy with that addition.
And then lastly, we got, and it's not lastly in their rankings, it's just how we go, another friend from Connecticut who Maximus knows, right?
Yeah.
Christian Jones, right?
Yeah, Christian Jones, played same high school as Maximus.
That's good.
For OSL in the Bronx for Coach Pete. Same AU program, the New York Lightning. And he's a guy who has got great length, got great instincts, a very, very good athlete, can play a number of different positions, can make shots. And the fact that him and Max are like best friends and they've kind of been together, I think the chemistry will be there right away. And
I think Max has really flourished in your system. He's been one of the surprises this year. Lastly, the recruiting portal. I know you really can't do it now, but this is going to be a place people want to come. This is a preferred destination. You're always keeping an eye on other games and et cetera. And for those that don't know, there's a transfer portal that you can come right away. Right. Is that right when the season ends, Chris, sort of? Is that how that works?
Yeah, I mean, often, it's going to happen as soon as the season ends, that the transfer portal will start to get filled with names of guys who are going to go transfer. And obviously now we have immediate eligibility in addition to the grad transfers that can become eligible immediately. And so, last year the number was in the thousands. And so anyone who says that they're not going to be doing that, I mean, just by sheer numbers, you're going to have to fill your roster. And GW historically has had success. The guys like Maurice Creek and Tyler Kavanaugh, Isaiah Armwood come to mind. At Miami, we had 2 Sweet 16s and an Elite 8 team. 3 of the 5 starters on each of those teams are transfers. So we're very comfortable in that space. You
got back the Miami kid who came back, right? From
Angel
Oklahoma.
Rodriguez, yeah.
Outstanding. See, he came home.
Yes, he came home. And obviously there's going to be so many players from this area that may want to come home, and we're going to be interested in those guys. But this is a great location for people to come back to. It's also a great location if you've been, maybe at a land-grant state institution somewhere and you want to get towards the city. We might be your place.
See, if you're unhappy to Power 5, come on home. I really appreciate everything you're doing here, and you're working so hard. It was really an exciting week here. Next up, we got women's basketball Coach McCombs is coming on to talk about her trip and how her team's doing, and we really appreciate your support. Very exciting times around here.
Thanks, Jim.
Make your trip monumental. Sightsee through DC without overspending on gas and ride shares. Experience DC the local way. Ride, save, explore. Metro.
I had life-threatening bleeding in my brain. But thanks to the virtual reality technology at GW Hospital, my surgeons were able to look inside my brain and plan for a successful surgery. It's remarkable that I woke up and ran 5 miles this morning. I would tell GW Hospital, thank you for giving me new life.
For life's defining moments, the George Washington University Hospital, defining medicine.
Welcome back to Raise High at GW. I'm Julian Coltree, and I have the pleasure to be joined by the second-year bench boss of the GW women's basketball team, Caroline McCombs. Coach, how'd it feel to be back at the Charles E. Smith Center last night?
Awesome. Love to be home, love playing in front of our fans. It's such a great environment, and just really appreciate everyone always coming out to support us.
There's a lot that we have to talk about as you guys have had a fast start to the season. You just come from a tournament in Las Vegas. We will get to that, but over the next 5 games or so, you guys are going to be playing a lot of games here at the Smith Center. How does it feel to get back into that rhythm and know that as you get ready for conference play, you are going to be back here at home in Foggy Bottom?
Yeah, just really looking forward to this month of December, being at home, playing in front of our fans, sleeping in our own beds. Getting ready for A10 play is the most important thing, and all of these games upcoming will really help prepare us for that.
Of course, the one road game during that stretch is going to be a contest down at TCU. What kind of went into booking such a good Big 12 opponent and getting to go there and play them on their turf?
Yeah, well, one thing that's really important in recruiting is getting our players back home to play in front of their friends and family. And so Nia Robertson is from Texas, and so wanted to make that a priority for us to take her back home, have her family and everybody that supports her be able to see her in a GW uniform.
Before we dive into December, let's go back to November and Thanksgiving. You play some of the best mid-major teams in the country out in Las Vegas, a part of the UNLV Thanksgiving tournament. What does it do for a team when you have game after game after game and you have to get ready and get into that sort of tournament environment that will be very similar to what you guys see at the A10 championships down the road?
Yeah, I thought as we looked at this year and what we needed to help us in our preparation for A10 play, it was playing in a multi-team event, 3 games, 3 days, learning what resiliency looks like, how to take care of our bodies day in and day out, game after game. We played some terrific competition out there. We learned a lot. So just excited to build on that and be able to take that experience into us in March.
As a coach, is it a little bit different knowing that rather than having a couple of days in between preparing for a game, it has to be one after one after one because of how quick the turnaround is?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge for our coaches, especially when you don't exactly know who you're going to play. You have to prepare for a few different opponents. So challenging for us, but obviously that's what we do. So just wanting to prepare our team the best way possible with the best scout. We got to see live competition as well, so that isn't always something that you get a chance to do. But it gave us an advantage as well in our preparation in the future. December
is the stretch run for your team. At the end of the month, December 31st, believe it or not, conference play starts. So far, what have you learned from the squad that you have?
Yeah, I think we're still learning. It's still early on. I know we're 9 games under our belt. So, really just, we have a lot of moving parts. I think they're still learning our offense. That always takes some time. Defensively, again, with some new faces, just still sort of figuring out, what all of those things look like. I think we're in that time of year where it is really important, our growth game to game. Each opponent offers, a little bit different challenge. And so we're just still figuring those things out. I love those challenges. Our players, learn through film, and then obviously, they get to perform on the court on game day.
When you came on the show last time, Caroline, you said that the player who you thought was going to surprise a lot of people was Mia Laxdagala. You called her a secret assassin. So far through the start of the season, have you been surprised at how awesome she has been, both on the defensive end and the offensive end?
Yeah, we really have thrust Mia into a lot of different roles for us. And so she handles the ball. She can score the ball at a very high percentage right now as well. So I think she's challenging, defenders to really try to stop her. She's quiet. She can make some big plays. She likes to have the ball in her hands. And these are things that she hasn't always done throughout her college career. So they're new to her, even though she's in her 5th year. We're giving her some freedom to go out there and play. And I think she's really enjoying it. And I think she's thriving in that role. So we're just really looking forward to continuing with her progress the rest of the season.
Another player I'd love to talk about is Essence Brown, especially out in Las Vegas. It looked like she was really coming into her own offensively. When you guys kind of spoke to Essence during the offseason and maybe mapped out what the game plan was going to be going into this year, was seeing a tick up in her offense something you wanted to work on?
Absolutely. Essence was such a defensive player for us last year. We wanted to increase her value on both sides of the basketball. And so she's been doing that. We're trying to put her in positions to be successful. Out in Las Vegas, she did a tremendous job of really taking advantage of all of those opportunities. She was unbelievable out there. So I think that will help continue to build her confidence and learning how she can score within our offense. So, just really excited about those next steps forward we've taken with her.
Using Essence sort of as an example, when you look at how you kind of individualize the player development for each of the members of your team, what kind of goes into it in mapping out what their game plan is?
Yeah, I think, we evaluate that throughout the recruiting process, what our needs are. And then when they come, it's just we have a system, that we're excited about in footwork and finishing and making shots, just all of those things that go into that player development piece. And so I think, with Essence, she's learning what that looks like. So are our other players. It's an exciting process for a student athlete to go through. And I really enjoy watching that maturation. Really
briefly, you mentioned Nia Robertson getting a chance to go home to TCU. She's been electric to start this year. Have you been really happy with what you've seen in the minutes that she's been able to give you? I mean, she had a 27-point game against Howard. She's come off the bench and shown real ability to score.
Yeah, I love her mentality. She wants to get a bucket when she can get a bucket, so we appreciate that. Again, she can play on the ball, off the ball, but she's just somebody that gives everybody energy, whether that's in shoot around, practice, in the games. She's a tremendous spark off the bench. Just really excited about her. We give her a lot of freedom as well to make some plays, and she's learning that. She's a few games under her belt, as a freshman, and just excited about the future with Nia.
Finally, Coach, I mentioned December 31st at Richmond is going to be your first conference game this year. Have you gotten a chance to kind of keep tabs of what's going on in the A10, what a couple of teams have looked like, what they've been doing? I know your opponent from last night, Ohio, actually played Dayton in their game before they took you guys on.
Yeah, we've seen a few games here and there, definitely tracking the scores. We're obviously supporting all of our A10 counterparts in this non-conference season, so want them to be successful. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, more towards the end of the month, but it's an exciting time to get into A10 play.
Absolutely. There you have it, head coach of the GW women's basketball team, Caroline McCombs. Coach, thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you.
When we come back, head coach of the GW men's soccer team, Craig Jones, joins Kevin Burke on the program to talk everything World Cup 2022.
My shoulder is completely fixed. I feel as though I have a new shoulder. I went to GW Hospital to get my operation for my rotator cuff tear. They made me feel quite safe, even during the pandemic. They referred me to get the minimal invasive surgery, and it was excellent. Now I got into abstract art because of my wife. I'm very appreciative of GW Hospital.
From routine care to life-saving emergencies, we're here for you, the George Washington University Hospital.
We're back to close out this edition of Raised High at GW, and I'm now joined by longtime GW soccer coach, alumni of the university as well, Craig Jones. Jonesy, how you doing? Welcome to Raised High at GW.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Love the show, so looking forward to it.
We're going to talk World Cup, and condolences to your Dragons from Wales, who put up a valiant effort in the group stage, their first World Cup in quite some time. You're originally from Wales, but what did it mean for your country to be able to see them on the national or the world stage for the first time in quite some time?
Yeah, for a small country to get to that level, I think the displays will be a little disappointing for them in general, but for us to even get to that World Cup, for being away from it for so long, was amazing. So proud of us getting there. Would have liked to some of the results to gone a little bit better, but for a small country, Cymru, we did for me, so proud of the guys.
Take us inside the first game. You're playing the U.S. Where did you watch that game with your family, and how did the split go down in the Jones household?
It was actually all my kids. We went out. We went to a local restaurant, and we all dressed up in our Wales gear. Got there early to get a seat, and before the kickoff, obviously the place started filling up. We were surrounded by American fans, obviously, but we stuck with it. Obviously, we were behind in the game for a long time, but I think all four of us, because it was four of us versus the whole place, we probably shouted louder than them when Wales equalized. So it was a diplomatic tie for me, which worked perfect. So that was probably our best 45 minutes of the World Cup for Wales.
So now does your allegiance switch to the USA now as the Americans are now taking on Netherlands as we're thinking about it? Are you switching to the allegiance of the USA now?
Yeah, I have to, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm here, my children were raised here, so I definitely want the US to do well. I think like I said, I think they've got a little bit better every game. I thought Wales, obviously, the England game was good. They went into the third game. They did really well. Look, for this group, it's such a young group. I think just putting this young group into that environment is super exciting for how this World Cup in 2026 is going to be hosted in the US. It just puts the US in such a good spot. Just having that experience of going through this tournament, no matter how far they go. I'm excited to see, what this current group of players and bringing in some new blood is going to do this World Cup and moving forward.
How critical is that now when you look towards 2026 when the U.S. and Canada and Mexico are hosting the World Cup? Like, in terms of developing soccer in this country and trying to get it onto a bigger stage, how important are these next 4 years leading up to the World Cup?
They're huge. I think you think about the growth of the professional game over here. It was all based off the 1994 World Cup. And the infrastructure that went into place to start that league. Obviously, in the youth game, soccer is huge. It's a huge sport played by millions of children. So I think these next 4 years, I think this World Cup has put kind of the U.S. back on the map in terms of what they can do in a global stage. Now, the access to watch the number of games. When I first came over to the States, you had to search a bar to watch a random game. Now you can get it at home. So I think just the global access for fans, for players growing up, and to look at some of these young players currently as heroes and players they can look up to try to emulate and follow those careers, which is great.
Going back to the game that's currently going on right now, USA-Netherlands, what do you think is sort of an aspect for the U.S. that they need to take care of in terms of being able to potentially advance past this round of 16?
Yeah, I think the U.S. have looked best when they've kind of high-pressed and they've had ING. It's a young group, and I would let the young guns go a little bit. But when they sit back, they haven't looked so comfortable. Obviously, the underdogs, I like that tag for the U.S. I think, going in as an underdog gives them a little bit more fire maybe in the belly to be successful. Netherlands a favorite, but I'm going to go with the U.S. actually on PKs maybe. So
how about that?
Yeah.
What stood out to you about the World Cup in general so far?
Timing is obviously different. For me, it's kind of, I said if Wales made a tournament, I would go. I went to the 2016 tournament, the Euros. I said I'd go to the first World Cup. Obviously, we were hoping we'd still be playing deep into November, so I haven't been able to go. So making that adjustment. But for me, I think, once the World Cup started, all the things going on around it, once the game started, it's just a great, great tournament. And it brings a lot of people together from all parts of the world. And I love watching the games, and I love watching, even though Wales will no longer be involved in it.
You've predicted the U.S. is moving to the next round, but what are some other teams that have stood out to you and perhaps some favorites that you have to win the whole thing?
Yeah, for me, even as a kid growing up, I think the World Cup, that yellow shirt, blue shorts of Brazil is just, symbolizes what the World Cup is. And I thought they've looked good so far. I've liked the way Spain played in qualifying. France, again, they have some tools to be kind of, to go deep into the tournament. But, I'd probably edge Brazil to go, but I think it could be a Brazil-France final.
Brazil-France, you heard it here. It's coming up in a couple weeks here. Going back to the U.S. here, we talk about an undercovered story with Matt Turner, the U.S. goalkeeper. He went to Fairfield, a small Division I school, then worked his way up to become now the starting keeper, and also played in with the Richmond Kickers with one of our alums. It's a true perseverance story in terms of you guys can come to anywhere, such as GW, and work your way up to perhaps a national team down the line.
Yeah, it's a great story. He didn't start playing soccer until high school, so kind of came into the game late. Obviously had some traits, some athleticism to kind of keep working his way up. But to show that determination, you sometimes you look at the best players in any sport, there's been some kind of knockback, some kind of adversity that they've had to deal with. And for him to go and to keep plugging away, and we always tell them, chase your dream. But to do that, you've got to be determined, you've got to have the discipline, and you've got to have the belief in yourself. So for him, it truly is a great story, and to put it now in the global scale of a World Cup, I'm excited for him, and I'm excited to see how his career pans out. But as for a young soccer player, it's a great story. Read it, follow it, and see if you can do it.
And who knows what will happen in 4 years from now when the U.S. gets to host the World Cup alongside Canada and Mexico. Hopefully you get to see Wales play in the States in 4 years. That'd be great.
That would be awesome, yeah. Right here in my backyard now. So I'd probably host a lot of people coming over from Wales, but I'd really like that.
Jonesy, appreciate the time and insight as always.
Thank you so much.
That'll do it for this edition of Race High at GW. From everybody here in Foggy Bottom, stay safe. We'll talk to you next time.